so send him a message.
Hello, John. I have nothing against you personally, but I just think I'm better than you. I just know that I can beat you in a fight, so I'm coming for it.
Oh my god, wake up MMA world, you won't believe what just happened. So picture this, the headlines drop like thunder in the fight world, and who do we see front and center? None other than Britain's own low-key beast, Tom freaking Aspinall. And guess what? The very first words out of his mouth aimed directly at the one and only Jon Jones. Boom. Listen, the heavyweight division, it's been stuck in slow-mo for what feels like forever. Like someone hit pause on the biggest UFC video game ever made. Everyone, literally everyone, has been holding their breath. Is Jon Jones actually retired, or just doing that thing he does?
To beat Jon Jones, you need to have fast eyes, fast reactions, fast reflexes. And Stipe Miocic at 42 years old just doesn't have the reflexes anymore.
No.
That someone like a 31-year-old, I don't even think I'm in my prime yet, but almost prime fighter.
Disappearing, teasing, ghosting the octagon like a legend who can't say goodbye. Fans lost their minds arguing. Podcasts turned into therapy sessions. Fighters were out there sweating bullets in training while staring into the dark, praying for any kind of sign. Meanwhile, Tom, silent, chill, posting memes, lifting planet-sized weights, being British and unbothered, while the MMA world spun around him like a shaken snow globe. Then bam. Out of nowhere, he sits in front of a mic, looks dead into the lens, and drops a line so ice cold it sent shivers down every spine. I'm ready to speak, and Jon needs to listen. Mic drop. You could hear a pin drop. You could feel every phone tilting forward as people pressed their ears closer. Because when Tom Aspinall talks, and I mean really talks, you know something seismic is coming. And
I bet if he's weighing 215, he would fight Tom Aspinall better than him weighing 245 pounds. In his 205 frame, he could fight Tom Aspinall better than he'd fight him at that 250 because that's not his weight class. While he didn't last long with Cyril, he didn't look as fast. He carried more weight. Cyril just did some weird stuff. And Jon, you don't make mistakes against him.
This felt like an earthquake winding up. See, this all started quietly. Months back, he gave this super chill interview while still nursing his knee. He said it so matter-of-factly, like reading the weather. Jon Jones will never share the octagon with me. He'll retire, too big of a risk. And no, he didn't yell it. He didn't make a big scene. He said it like he was explaining geometry to a kid. Cool, calm, clear. People rolled their eyes. Tom's dreaming, they said. Come on, Jon Jones is the GOAT. But Tom wasn't flexing his ego. He was calculating, strategic, like he was reading the fight matrix 3 moves ahead. Because real talk, legends protect their legacies harder than their belts. And Jon was looking for a pretty exit, not a war with a rising monster like Tom. And what did Tom do? He didn't brag. He just went back to work, sparring, elbows, knees, day in, day out, whispering to his crew, watch, he won't fight me. At the time, everyone said,
what do you make of Tom Aspinall?
I think he's awesome. I think he should go on and have a wonderful career.
Do you think that he needs you?
No, I think he needs me. I think he's not in a position. It's just the truth. Because if I whoop his, it's going to be the next guy. There's going to be a whole new fan base of somebody who everybody believes in. I've done this my whole adult life.
that it was wishful thinking, but later they'd all be rewinding the tapes and realizing Tom knew. He knew the storm was coming before we saw a single cloud. And oh honey, then came the thunder, random Tuesday afternoon. Boom blowing up, phones vibrating like crazy, breaking. Jon Jones calls Dana White. Says he's done. Just like that, no farewell tour, no final octagon moment, just click, over. Like he hung up the gloves mid-sentence. And just as fast, boom, UFC says, guess what? Tom Aspinall, yeah, he's officially the heavyweight champ now. Not interim, not maybe, full, unstoppable, undeniable. The internet went full-on meltdown mode. Some fans cheered, some cried, some just sat there like, wait, what? Timelines were flooded with Jon Jones highlights, chokes, kicks, elbows. All the GOAT moments just rolling like a never-ending goodbye mixtape. People couldn't process it. Commentators instantly switched to past tense. Jon Jones was the best, like they were engraving it on a freaking tombstone. It was that sudden, no warning, even his inner circle was blindsided, and there he was, gone.
Is that heavyweight or is that Alex Pereira at heavyweight? What is that? What are you thinking?
You know, I know that we have options. And so I'm just going to see what Uncle Dana wants and what Uncle Hunter wants. And you guys will hear about it soon.
And in that moment, the quiet guy Jones barely acknowledged. Yeah, he's holding the most iconic belt in MMA, The sport turned upside down. Fight fans in barbershops, gyms, classrooms, everywhere, just buzzing with one question. Now what? But before we could even breathe, everything flipped. Again. 4th of July, burgers sizzling, fireworks in the sky, then Jon drops a tweet. 10 words. Just 10. But baby, it shook the ground. I've re-entered the USADA testing pool. Translation? I'm back, y'all. The internet went wild. Reporters were filming reaction videos from their backyards with sparklers going off behind them, and meme pages were panicking. They just made goodbye art, and now they had to switch gears and make comeback posters. People were confused. I mean, 2 weeks ago, this man was in retirement mode. Dana White looked like he aged 5 years overnight.
Look, I'm as big a Jon Jones fan as anybody, and I've always defended he's not afraid of Tom. He's willing to fight anybody. It's hard to not fall into that narrative here, though. You know, like, to me, like, fighting in the White House, like, that doesn't do it.
Tom, he was out training, saw the headline mid-run, just exhaled and shook his head. He knew the circus wasn't over. The title picture was clear for like 2 seconds. Now, foggy, messy, chaotic. The whole thing felt like a reality show cliffhanger. People were glued to their phones, and then, plot twist, out of nowhere, boom, Donald Trump enters the chat. Yes, that Donald Trump. He straight up tells reporters he wants to host a UFC event on the White House lawn. I swear I'm not making this up. Picture it, the freaking Rose Garden turned into a cage fight coliseum, Secret Service where the ring girl should be, spotlights bouncing off the White House windows, 25,000 seats, history in the making. And you know Jon couldn't resist. He tweets, basically foaming at the mouth, if this goes down, I'm in. Cue chaos. Suddenly people were whispering, could it be Jones versus Aspinall at the White House? Like what? It sounded like a Marvel movie pitch. MMA gladiators fighting in the president's backyard.
Yeah, the president said he wants a series of festivities to mark the country's 250th anniversary, including a champion UFC fight here at the White House with thousands of spectators. Now, the president has a long relationship with the UFC, and he has a close friendship with the head of UFC, Dana White.
Podcasters were comparing it to Roman times. Even people who had never watched UFC were clicking on this story. The buzz was insane, but while everyone was losing their minds, guess who wasn't impressed? Tom Aspinall. He folds his arms, sits down for an interview, and just goes off quietly but powerfully. He says this whole retirement, then come back for a pretty venue stunt, yeah, it's a joke, a waste of everybody's time. He didn't yell, he didn't throw shade, but every word hit like a punch to the gut. He basically said, Jon's acting like a kid who only plays basketball if there's a camera crew. Tom pointed out, rightfully so, that every other heavyweight has been grinding, training, waiting for the shot, and all the while headlines were just circling around Jon. He called it what it is, disrespectful. To him, to the division, to the fans. So now the fight world is divided. You've got fans and fighters all over social screaming at each other. What even makes a fighter great, huh? Some people were riding for Jones, the GOAT. Let him choose his moment. Legends deserve a royal send-off. You know the vibe. Tisha retires, gets cake, hugs, all that. But then, the other half, they were like, nope, not buying it. Because true greatness isn't just about glitzy nights or perfect exits, it's about showing up. Every time, any place, anyone, period. And there was Tom, not getting caught in the noise, not tweeting paragraphs, not clapping back.
We're going to have a UFC fight. Think of this on the grounds of the White House.
Yeah, okay, maybe that's it. I don't think it is that. I do think that he would want to fight at the White House, and I'm sure that every single fighter is going to want to do that.
Nah, he just kept training, punching pads instead of keyboards, ignoring the chaos, focused, lethal. He told people the truth. The fight will settle this, not words. But you could feel it. The volume around this thing was boiling, like everyone was ready to explode. Then, boom, Jon goes on a podcast and throws the shadiest jab yet. He calls Tom a nobody. Yup, you read that right, a nobody. And that, my friends, is when the MMA internet snapped. Analysts went off. They pulled out the receipts. A nobody? They cried. Tom Aspinall has one of the most savage resumes in the division. We're talking quick finishes, violent submissions, top 10 names on his hit list, 7 out of 8 UFC opponents. He wrecked them in under 2 minutes. The man's a wrecking ball in human form. Fans were editing together highlight reels faster than you can say heel hook, slow-mo clips of that right hand crack, and submissions that looked like magic tricks. The data was all there. Calling Tom a nobody, that's like calling a tidal wave a splash. Like, Please. Even people who don't watch UFC were like, okay, this Tom guy, he's clearly not some random. And yet, what did Tom do? Nothing flashy, no insults back. He just smiled, calm, cold, focused, said straight up, labels don't matter. What happens in the cage does. But we all knew. That smile, that was the quiet of a man who knows a storm's about to land right on your head. Because let's be real, Jon calling Tom a nobody, that's not shade. That's fear, dressed up in fake confidence. And here's what nobody was really talking about. Tom's life. It's been on pause this whole time. No fights in over a year. Sounds like a break. Think again. This isn't vacation. This is like being stuck in a revved up race car with no green light.
Whoa, Tom Aspinall, good one?
Huh?
Tom Aspinall, maybe?
Who?
Tom Aspinall?
No.
Okay, fair enough. I asked Eric the same.
Engine's burning, the wheels are ready, but there's no go. Camps cost money, nutritionists, sparring partners, coaches. Time is cash. And worse, the mental grind. It was harder than rehabbing his knee, Tom admitted. At least with an injury, you've got a plan, you've got steps, healing, progress. But this is waiting in silence for a phone call that never comes. It's waking up every day wondering, is today the day I get my shot? He tried to keep it together, set goals, add muscle, learn new moves, help his team. But every morning, he'd glance at his phone, hoping for that contract, that opportunity. Friends told him to chill, but come on, how do you chill when you were born to fight? And it's not just about him. The entire division has been left hanging in this weird limbo. Dust gathering on rankings, titles that feel half-earned, fighters stuck playing second fiddle to Jon's circus. And you could see it in Tom's face during interviews. He'd smile, say the right things, but his eyes? Those eyes were starving, because every day lost is a day his prime fades, a chapter stolen from his legacy. And now, even the fans are turning to the UFC and going, what are we doing here? Why was Tom quietly crowned champion in the middle of the night instead of under the massive spotlight of International Fight Week? Why was one man allowed to hold the whole division hostage? Some say Jon Jones has too much power, that the UFC's been catering to his every whim while everyone else is left in the dark. But rumors started swirling like fire on gasoline. Whispers that maybe, just maybe, Dana White is finally planning Tom's next big fight, Vegas, Cyril Gane. Maybe. And you better believe Tom is ready. He's been ready. The man would sign that contract before the ink even dries. But until that moment, until there's a name, a date, a place, this whole heavyweight division stays trapped in some weird in-between. Part fight sport, part soap opera, part circus, part circus. Fans, they're begging for clarity. And honestly, everyone agrees on one thing, no matter whose side you're on. The belt, it belongs in the octagon, not in tweets. Not in press releases, not in podcast shade. And whoever wants that gold, they better earn it the only way that matters. Under those lights, with the whole world watching, the countdown has already begun.